Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Great Voyage, the strongest emperor of the four emperors Blackbeard. Chapter 61. Keeping that knife, what's the use of you other than pretending to be 13, don't tell me, you have plans to be a swordsman. Carlo looked at Blackbeard, who was a little overwhelmed with excitement, and reminded him. Yeah, rain burial, yes, rain burial. A sharp knife-level weapon, this is quite a good material, thief ha ha ha. But buddy, it seems that you buried 13 in the rain more than I did, and I seem to be your scabbard. After Carlo's suggestion, Blackbeard also reacted, and immediately pulled out the rein buried around his waist. However, at the same time, this guy didn't forget to slap Carlo. This is something that Blackbeard has been thinking about for a long time. If you don't choke on this deputy, he will not be reconciled. Womu ma. Carlo, who has always been venomous and eloquent, was suddenly scolded for such a short time, and for a while, he was unable to refute. Forget it, I don't care about you. Hey hey hey. Watching Carlo take a rare bite, Blackbeard smiled complacently, and then directly buried the rein with the tip of the knife pointing down at his own mouth and stuffed it inside. It seems that the whole performance art, I don't know, I thought this buddy was playing acrobatics here. The moment the rein was buried in his throat, Blackbeard immediately activated his swallowing ability. The sharpness of the sword did not hurt him in the slightest. After a while, I saw that on Blackbeard's left hand, a dagger-length sharp blade gradually extended out. Right in the middle of the two knuckles, there is a shimmering cold light. It turned out to be in this form. Seeing this, Blackbeard was stunned for a moment, then walked straight to Wapple's wrecked ship, aimed at the steel inlaid on it, and cut it away. Regarding the power of rain burial, although Blackbeard can't use a knife, he still somewhat understands it. At this time, he just wanted to see what would happen after the knife was swallowed by him. Crack. It didn't use much force, just slid lightly. The thick steel, like tofu, was easily cut in half. What the hell, so strong. Seeing the scene in front of him, Blackbeard immediately froze in place. Even the people standing behind were dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, it was so easy to cut the thick steel of the trunk in half with ease. Cut iron like mud. Even Carlo, looking at such power, couldn't help being secretly shocked. You know, if you want to achieve the state of cutting iron like mud, you can't be a swordsman. No ordinary swordsman can do it, let alone a layman like Blackbeard. You know, this is cutting iron. Even in the field of swordsmen, cutting iron is a realm which can directly distinguish the gap between swordsman and swordsman. It doesn't mean that with a good knife, you can reach the realm of cutting iron. Don't you see, Zoro in the original Pirates, holding the same level of Hidao, couldn't reach this level in the early stage. It was not until later in the Alabasta battle against the Baroque Work Club and the battle against Daspanas that he realized that he could cut iron and stepped into the realm of swordsman. And now, Blackbeard can achieve that level by just swallowing the rein and making it part of his body. Of course, this has nothing to do with the so-called iron slashing realm. It is completely that after the rain burial is swallowed, the hardness, sharpness and state of all aspects have been greatly enhanced. All I can say is, forcibly cut iron. But, that's enough. Blackbeard's purpose is not to practice swords, but to try out moves, to see how much the same thing can be strengthened after being swallowed. Obviously, the power of the rain burial at this time has been several times stronger, and the power of munch fruit has initially begun to show. Immediately afterwards, Blackbeard continued to try a few tricks, aiming at the ship and slashing violently. This time, he was pleasantly surprised to find that in addition to the power of the rain burial itself being greatly enhanced, the special effects of dark fruit can also be added to it. The rain burial wrapped in black mist is a bit more mysterious, as well as the unique dark attribute of dark fruit, which is quite strange. As for attaching armament hockey, it is even more handy. Not only is it faster and smoother than simply attaching it to the fist or knife body, but even the consumption of physical strength is greatly reduced. Cool, thief ha ha ha, cool backquote. Dude, this ability is too comfortable. What is swallowed up, the power is terrifying. I don't know how long that waste has occupied this ability, and I didn't even find it. It seems that I will try to collect as many big knives as possible in the future. If they all appear in this form, the so-called swordsmen will probably be scared to pee when they see me. Thief ha ha ha. After trying out various shapes and styles, Blackbeard feels quite comfortable. The ability of this fruit is really not simple. In addition to the enhancement of what he swallows, he has already felt that this fruit has brought a considerable increase to himself. Originally, Munch Munch Fruit's boost to the ability user was very good. If you want to blame, you can only blame Wapple. The former ability person is really too wasteful, just replaced by Blackbeard. The increase brought by it is not known to be hundreds of times stronger. How many more big knives to swallow? Of course. Hearing Blackbeard's words, Carlo nodded in approval. At the same time, a figure appeared in his heart. That figure does not belong to this world, but from the movies of his previous life. Wolverine. Yes, it's Wolverine. Just now, Carlo still felt something was wrong, and now after Blackbeard snorted, he thought, Wolverine's King Kong claws, isn't it in this part? Now that he swallowed Rain Burial, only one blade came out. What if he swallowed 5 more big sharp knives? With 3 left and right hands, isn't that the Blackbeard version of Wolverine? In short, Black King Kong. Wolverine's claws composed of 6 large sharp knives. Once activated, the scene, the power, thinking about it is very exciting. Thief, haha, not only these sharp knives, but in the future, I will find a pile of the hardest rare metals to come back. Just the same metal as your repair gloves, dude. In that case, not only Lao Tzu's attack power, but also his defensive ability will be greatly enhanced. In this way, the side effects of dark fruit on Lao Tzu will also be reduced. Once this shortcomings restriction on Lao Tzu is lifted, Blackbeard, will be truly invincible. Thief, ha ha ha. Blackbeard draws inferences from one thing, although there is no material suitable for swallowing at the moment, but it can be seen from the performance of the Rain Burial just after being swallowed. Once he finds rare metals with excellent hardness and durability, swallows them, and turns them into his own armor, his defense will also be increased to a considerable extent. Of course, it's not just the bearing capacity of the metal itself. After eating this kind of thing, it will directly become a part of Blackbeard's body. Therefore, the effect of armament hockey's coverage will be more perfect, so that his defensive ability will rise again. Although I didn't expect this to cure the side effects of eating dark fruit, it would be nice if it could make up for it. After all, suffering double damage is not a joke. If he is injured in a real battle, it is really possible that he will be hurt to death in the past. But the emergence of Munch Munch Fruit has made up for this shortcoming. Just thinking about it makes Blackbeard extremely excited. It can be expected that as long as the collected materials are in place, Blackbeard's own attack and defense will usher in a wave of great enhancements. In addition, the fruit itself has a good increase in combat power for him, and the combination of the two is simply beautiful. Don't be too complacent, Teach. Where is this, so excited? Look at what you can do. Looking at Blackbeard's excited look of ultimate, Carlo showed a rather bland expression, curled his lips, and said, what you have displayed now is just the basic application of Munch Munch Fruit. Although you haven't developed it yet, I can tell you a more advanced application right now. Try, activate the fruit ability, swallow your own body, and see what happens. Question mark, question mark, question mark. What the heck? Swallowed myself. The words are not amazing and die endlessly. Carlo's words made everyone present stunned. Not to mention Blackbeard and Lafitte and other crew members, even the Empress standing behind Carlo, were all in a daze. Swallow yourself. Damn it, you don't need to use such a brutal way to commit suicide. What's wrong with my own captain? It doesn't look like a joke. Okay, let's try it. After a short period of confusion, the others hadn't reacted yet, but Blackbeard simply smiled and was ready to try. Although I don't know why Carlo made this statement, after a slap in the face not long ago, Blackbeard decided that he would never question his deputy, the dog-headed military strategist. Listen to people's advice and eat well. Whatever you say, listen to it, there will definitely be unexpected surprises. After making the decision, Blackbeard immediately activated the Munch Munch Fruit ability. I saw his head tilted back, his mouth instantly enlarged, and then turned over out of thin air, showing a row of big teeth, aiming at his body, bit by bit gnawed down. In this scene, everyone present was shivering with chills. Except for Carlo, no one could understand that there was such a god-level cerebral palsy operation. It's too changeable. Hey, just like this, after a long while, the big mouth swallowed Blackbeard's entire body, and then turned into a bucket, standing where he was standing. If it weren't for the fact that Blackbeard's surprised voice could be heard from time to time in the bucket, everyone would have planned to be a cheap captain for a while, and prepared for the funeral. Thief, ha ha ha, it turns out, it can still be used like this. I really didn't expect that there is such a usage. A loud laugh suddenly came from the bucket. The next moment, I saw a tall, sturdy figure jumping out of it, and the first time it jumped out, the bucket disappeared. Who is this? Don't tell me, this is the captain. Looking at the sudden appearance of the figure, there is one person in the scene, and I am confused again. Although there is a bit of Blackbeard's shadow on this person's face, he still looks quite similar. But what's up with this figure? The original big belly has completely disappeared, the size has nearly doubled, and the muscles all over the body are bulging. Is there a proper fitness expert? Except for the wretched expression on his face that still exists, everything else is a change of polarity. Li Laojiao, this body is much stronger. Carlo, how did you know that this ability can still be used like this? This time, without Carlo's explanation, Blackbeard has the most intuitive feeling. Transformed into this, his physique and agility have been greatly improved, and he is more powerful than his original body before. Explosive seed, proper explosion seed. I researched before. Although there is no specific usage marked in the devil fruit illustration book, this devil fruit is too special. If you can swallow everything, why can't you swallow yourself? Your own ability will never kill you. With this as a precondition, you can naturally use this method to improve yourself in disguise, but I don't know which aspect will be improved. Where did you know it? Of course it was from Wapple. Since Carlo dared to remind Blackbeard like this, he naturally thought about how to deal with it, so he wasn't afraid of suspicion. It turns out that it is a pity that this state does not last for too long. Hearing this, Blackbeard understood, and then took the initiative to remove this form and return to the original patrol. However, in any case, the new ability acquired this time has been of great help to him. The increase in attack and defense, coupled with the transformation just now, is very powerful in itself, and it has already improved him well. And more importantly, he and Carlo came to find the true intention of munch fruit. Swallow other abilities to gain their abilities. Paired with dark fruit's restraint on those who are capable, it's a matter of hand, it's a perfect match. Come this time, Blackbeard has a direct wave of fat, ushered in an epic enhancement. Chapter 62. This time I won the munch fruit, and it was so smooth, there was no trouble at all. It's so easy to make Lao Su feel if he is dreaming, such a fruit is so easy to get. It's completely incomparable with the process of Lao Su grabbing dark fruit. 39. Blackbeard has restrained all the abilities of the double fruit, and even the rain burial, grown from his hand was taken back into his body. At this time, his face was full of excitement, and he said inconceivably as he walked in the direction of the crowd. It's no wonder he did this. It was also a bug-level fruit. He won the dark fruit, but he forbeared it for decades and risked losing his life to get it. Even so, after getting the fruit, he was chased all the way out of New World, and he still hasn't gotten rid of it. It even offended the entire Whitebeard pirates and committed an unforgivable sin. But on the other hand, munch fruit is obtained almost instantly, and it is not difficult at all. It's like going out for a walk and being forcibly pulled back to inherit the family property, how easy it is. And there will be no worries, after all, with their current strength, it is easy to destroy this country. This time, I really want to thank you, Carlo man. If it weren't for your heartfelt knowledge, maybe this time, this idiot would have really escaped. Approaching, Blackbeard put his hand on Carlo's shoulder with a warm expression on his face, and sincerely thanked him. Looks like a dead gay. But he didn't notice at all, from behind Carlo, the murderous look of the Empress. Right now, he is complacent, and his heart is completely filled with excitement. How can he take care of the cold air behind him? On the contrary, Burgess and the others were so frightened that they didn't dare to breathe, and hurriedly hid aside, for fear of accidentally touching the cold queen's bad head. Hey, it's more than this time. If it wasn't for your persistence, bro, that woke me up. I'm afraid I wouldn't be so obsessed with munch fruit, and I really planned to plan the old man's shock fruit. After all, the risk is too great, and the description of this fruit in the picture book is also incomplete, most of which are my guesses based on the description. However, Fortunately, this time is right, thief ha ha ha, let lousy gain such a strong ability. Thanks to you, man, I really have to thank you. Before, because Carlo was too strong, Blackbeard, the real captain, had a somewhat low presence on the CFAA ship and was always held down. Although Blackbeard will never have any resentment towards Carlo, the vice captain, but should say no, he is still a little embarrassed. After all, I am the captain, so I still have to have a face. If it spreads out, I won't be laughed at by my colleagues for a lifetime. But now, after obtaining the munch fruit, his strength has ushered in a wave of epic enhancements, and Blackbeard's suffocation has completely disappeared. All that remains is a sincere gratitude to Carlo, the perfect deputy. Blackbeard said. Lao Tzu's pattern is directly opened. Without this mate, where would Lao Tzu be now? You really have to thank me, or even if you come by yourself, you can't hold it young. Looking at Blackbeard, who was sighing and thanking him, Carlo pouted. Then I pulled off the black hand on my shoulders, or else the little girl behind her would look like she could fire a laser. When did you become so hypocritical? Teach, you have to thank me for the place, there is still more, why worry? Since you've also tried the tricks, let's go, it's too cold in this hellish place. Saying that, Carlo turned around and leaned on the Empress, who was still warm by his daughter-in-law. No way, when someone let him get off the boat, he only cared about his image and didn't wear any clothes at all relying on his physical strength. Installing 13 is also very expensive. In this way, a group of people left the coast of the back mountain, returned according to the original road, returned to the place where they first docked, boarded a boat, and left from the Drum Kingdom. This made the soldiers who were still secretly guarding near the port in shock for a while. Obviously nothing happened in the country, these vicious pirates just left. Up to now, no one knows that the king of their country has been obliterated by this group of people. Perhaps, for most people in the Drum Kingdom, this is still great news, and the irony is directly full. Damn it, I just remembered that in the palace on the top of the mountain in that country, there seems to be a capable person. I missed it, if it is also a top-notch ability, it will be a big loss. Or, let's go back. Thief haha, in case, are you right? The big ship of the Blackbeard pirates is now sailing on the endless sea. It has been 2 hours since the ship set off from the port of Drum Island, and the shadow of Drum Island has long been invisible. At this time, a large banquet, which is the custom of the pirate world, is being held on the ship. After all, the goal has been achieved, and the ability to think in one's mind must be celebrated, and Blackbeard said before going ashore that he came back to apology to Carlo. After 2 hours of intense preparations, their banquet officially begins. But just when everyone was seated, Blackbeard suddenly started making a fuss. The feeling is suddenly reminded of the second demon fruit power that Carlo said in the Drum Kingdom. 66.99. You think too much, Teach, where do you get so many top devil fruits? Is it because you have gained too much power during this period of time, and you are too inflated? I don't even think about who robbed the previous fruits from. That's the treasure trove of celestial dragons. Who in the world would dare to think of such a crazy plan except Lao Tzu? And it's hard to replicate it again. I just picked up a leak this time, and let us get munch fruits so easily. You don't really think that the world is full of top fruits, waiting for you to pick them? Sitting in the first seat, Carlo looked at the Empress who was pouring wine for him with interest, and his mouth was not idle, while asking 3 questions. In the face of Blackbeard's enthusiasm, Carlo showed no mercy and poured a basin of cold water on it. Otherwise, I don't know how much this product will expand. Devil fruit is a scarce resource, and the top ones are just a few that can be counted, and most of them already have owners. Obviously, having acquired so many top-notch abilities in a short period of time, Blackbeard has inadvertently created the illusion that there are powerful devil fruits everywhere. Chapter 63. Top-notch abilities. No kidding. In the Drum Kingdom, Blackbeard and others don't know the fruit ability of the second ability person, but Carlo is very clear. Zone, Niu fruit, owned by Dalton, the captain of the country's guards, is an ordinary ability that can no longer be ordinary. It's almost the same as Chopper's zone, everyone's fruit people's form. It's just the difference between a human being turned into an ordinary animal and an animal turning into an ordinary human. This kind of ability, where is it worth them to go back again? 2 hours after leaving Drum Island, the Blackbeard pirates did not have a clear target for their next stop. In addition, for the banquet, the big ship had been drifting with the waves, and no one was controlling it. But even so, it took 2 hours to drive a long distance. Going back again for such a rotten fruit. Isn't that a lack of parts in the head? Ah, it seems to make sense. In such a small backward country, the kings are all such idiots. It is very heaven-defying to have such a coincidence as munch fruit. Another one is really unrealistic. It's my imagination. Thief, ha ha ha. Forget it, brothers, drink. Be lively. Cheers to Lao Su's new ability, to the vice captain's perfect plan. A pot of cold water came down, and the Blackbeard poured it back to his senses. Thinking about it carefully, this kind of thing is really outrageous, and it is almost impossible to happen. So, I ignored it, stood up directly, raised the wine bottle, and announced the start of the banquet with a big laugh. In the open sea, laughter and screams from the ship kept coming out. After such a long run in, the female warriors of Nine Snake Island and the crew of the Blackbeard pirates gradually became acquainted. For a time, the big ship became extremely lively. Mr. Carlo. You. About 20 minutes after the banquet started, Blackbeard seemed to be in a drunken state, blushing and bragging about Burgess and the others. Carlo is obviously too lazy to get involved in the matter of pretending to be X after drinking. After all, according to his taste, he has always only pretended to be serious. Therefore, he didn't come up to brag and fight with these rough men. Instead, he was cheeky, put his hand aside, put it on a long, tender white leg, and rubbed it. Rao is an empress who doesn't care about anyone and doesn't care about other people's thoughts, and it's hard to resist at this time. How can there be such a fun? This is in the public. Mr. Carlo. Let's let go of the concubine first, okay? At night, concubine is in good health, serving you. Forcibly enduring the strangeness that came from under the table, the empress leaned into Carlo's ear, blushed slightly, and whispered to him. Yo, if you say that, I'm even more excited. This little girl, the empress, seems to not understand, but in fact, she understands too much. Accidentally, her words not only can't stop Carlo, but it seems to have a better reaction. However, just when Carlo was thinking about whether to bring her back to the room to talk about his ideals, he suddenly sensed a few strange breaths. In an instant, Carlo launched observation hockey, only to discover that there was a ship heading towards them at a very fast speed. Obviously, it's for them. Carlo's perception has been extremely sharp since he possessed the hard net. Even when it is usually not used to see and hear, within a certain distance, you can detect the breath of other people, but it is not so clear. No wink, disturbing Lao Su's good deeds. Immediately, Carlo's face turned cold, he took his hand away from the empress, and leaned back on the back of the seat. Seeing that Carlo's face suddenly turned cold, the empress' face turned white, and she said in a panic, or, the concubine will go back to the room now, waiting for you. Obviously, the empress thought that Carlo's attitude changed greatly because her actions just now made him angry. Having said that, the big girl is about to get up, really planning to go back to the room first. However, before she could stand up, she found that her wrist was being pulled, followed by a funny and distressed voice, "You are too careful. For flowers, oh, Hancock, in front of me, there is no need for this, or that sentence. Can I still eat you, or do I think I will abandon you? Impossible, don't worry, you think too much. But it does seem to be eaten. It has nothing to do with you, it's just that some trashy fish with no eyes came to the door." Speaking of this, a meaningful smile appeared on Carlo's face, and he said, "However, I remember what you just said. After finishing the gang of trash, I will give you a chance to serve me well." 99. The concubine didn't say anything. "Mr. Carlo, it's getting worse and worse." Hearing Carlo's words, the empress woke up and realized what kind of words she just said. Sitting back in her seat, the empress hurriedly covered her little face with her hands, not daring to look at Carlo. So embarrassing. Is this still the cold and unattainable empress in the eyes of others? It's more than a love brain. Looking at the appearance of the empress, Carlo couldn't help but sigh with emotion, such a top beauty, but in front of him is such a performance. Quite useful. Dare to disturb Lao Su's banquet. At this moment, Blackbeard suddenly smashed the wine bottle in his hand, and looked at the right side of the big ship with a displeased expression. I saw that a sailboat that was not a small size had already emerged at this time, gradually catching up with their ship, and almost going head to head. Obviously, being disturbed by the bragging interest, Blackbeard's performance is even worse than Carlo. It turned out to be them. 99. It's another 250. After I crossed over, how come all the enemies I encountered were idiots? This is not very scientific, isn't it? Looking at the newly appeared pirate ship with the flag of the fox skeleton hanging on the side, Carlo recognized the identity of the other party immediately and was immediately speechless. Fokker West Blue Bandit. The captain is the Silver Fox Foxy with the ability to slow fruit with a bounty of 24 million Bailey. Chapter 64. Bah, let me introduce myself. I'm the captain of the Fokker West Blue Bandit, known as Silver Fox Foxy. Since we've been eyeing it, don't even think about running away. Come on, let's start the Davy Back Fight Grand Competition. Whoever loses will join the opposing pirate group. Bah bah. Two pirate ships run side by side. Just when Blackbeard and Carlo were disturbed by others and looked unhappy, three figures suddenly appeared beside the boat on the opposite side. Standing in the middle, with a short stature and an impressive appearance, he even has a butt head. After laughing a few times, he introduced himself to everyone in the Blackbeard Pirates. Of course, in order to prevent the participating members from not understanding, you can disclose your abilities first. I am the slow person who has eaten the slow fruit. Let me show you guys first. Hamburger, come, shoot me. Ignoring the question marks all over the place, May 27th, Kexi acted like a social cow. While speaking, he asked one of his younger brothers to point the cannon barrel at him, and the cannonball was fired. Dull light. Just as the cannonball was about to hit Foxy, a pink wave of light suddenly radiated from the tips of his fingers. The cannonball that had been shot at a rapid rate, after being shrouded in light, became the speed of a turtle, approaching him little by little. See, this is my ability. Under the illumination of dull light, everything will become. Boom. Foxy was introducing with a stern look on his face, but before he could finish his words, the cannonball that flew at a fast speed seemed to hit his big touching face. Not surprisingly, the shell exploded, and Foxy's voice came to an abrupt end. At this time, on the Blackbeard Pirates' side, everyone fell into a mysterious silence, all with black question marks on their faces. Is this a fool? After a long while, Blackbeard turned around and asked Carlo. The words were speechless, almost written on his face. Maybe. As a traveler, Carlo was covering his forehead at this time, indicating that he didn't see it at all. It's so embarrassing. Where did the second coin come from? Middle 2 plus cerebral palsy, no help. Although he's an out of stock, Teach, with his abilities, does. Haven't you been clamoring to try the phagocytic ability of munch fruit? This person in front of you is a good test. After a long delay, Carlo recovered from this stunning performance, and then suggested to Blackbeard. Yes, the thief, haha, it turned out to be a gift for Lao Su. Yes, if you say that, then I will forgive him for the collision. With Carlo's reminder, Blackbeard also responded. Needless to say, this out-of-stock ability is really good. It can make the shells fired at high speed turn into turtle speed, which is quite practical. Despite this performance, full of flaws. But, man, are you sure if I swallow him, my brain won't be affected? Just as he was about to send someone to take down the opponent, Blackbeard was still a little worried, and turned around to confirm with Carlo again. I'm not too sure, shouldn't it be? It's okay, don't worry, I'm here for our pirate team's IQ. At this time, Carlo's mind was also full of doubts. No way, live viewing is much more impactful than in front of TV in previous lives. Okay, whoever you go, bring that idiot back to Lao Su, remember, you have to live. Hearing this, Blackbeard looked at Burgess and asked, obviously a fool of this level in front of him is not worth his and Carlo's shot. I'm going. Burgess's laughter had just started, and just as he was about to take the order, Van Oka made a sound. Decisive, simply, after two words fell, his figure flashed and disappeared in place. FK, this bastard, this kind of work is also robbed. Burgess immediately yelled in disgust, but there was nothing he could do. People are quick fruits, how can he catch up? He can only watch the entertainment project in his hand become someone else's pastime. Hee, before you speak next time, don't laugh for so long, you deserve it if you get robbed. Lafitte's fill-up came as scheduled, and slammed into Burgess's heart again. Ah, what happened? Is my introduction over? On the other side of the boat, Foxy stood up from the ground covered in black smoke, and asked the two men beside him with a shy face. Boss, you didn't. Did you accept your destiny and take the initiative to go over with me, or did I let you recognize your destiny and be taken over by me? Before Foxy's men could finish speaking, suddenly, Van Oka's figure appeared in front of them. I saw Van Oka holding Chinlu in one hand, aiming at Foxy in front of him at close range, and asked coldly. Bah, has the game already started? It's so exciting. However, dare to stand so close to me, boy, you are too eager, what is the first item? Foxy obviously still didn't understand the situation, thought the game was starting, and asked a few people excitedly. Boss, it's not. Boom. The reminder voice from his men just came out. Van Oka pointed at Foxy's chest without any ink, and pulled the trigger directly. Dull light. 39. Foxy's response was not slow, and he hurriedly sent out a pink wave of light, stopping Van Oka's bullet. Immediately, when it was stopped, the bullet was less than 2 centimeters away from Foxy, and he was able to avoid it. This bastard, before the game starts, he dares to attack. 99. Foxy didn't dare to be careless this time, and after stopping the bullet, he hurriedly ducked and cursed with gritted teeth. Since you don't say it, it's up to me, eh? After dodging the bullet, Foxy realized that Van Oka had long since disappeared, so he turned to look for it. It doesn't matter if he turns his head back, it directly allows Foxy to see the most unforgettable scene in his life. On the whole boat, all his subordinates and partners have all fallen to the ground at this time. Moreover, there is a round and neat bullet hole between the eyebrows of these people, and they are still gushing out of the blood. Van Oka's tall and thin figure was standing in the middle of a group of corpses, leisurely loading bullets into 1,000 continents. Foxy, totally confused, he just put a slow light on and dodged a bullet, and in just a few seconds, dozens of his companions on board were all dead. No one was spared, all fell under the man's gun. What kind of terrifying speed and indifference is this? It's so ruthless, so many people, kill it if you say it. This kind of scene, where Foxy has experienced, was immediately speechless, and looked at the scene in front of him with horror. It's your turn. After loading the bullets, Van Oka did not ink any ink, and then dodged again and disappeared in place. This caused Foxy to fall into a great panic, and his head turned around, but he couldn't find where the other party went. His slow fruit can indeed limit all speed, but that has to be touched. Now let alone encounter, he can't even find the shadow of the other party, where is the limit? Bang, bang. At this moment, 2 gunshots were suddenly heard from somewhere on the boat. Foxy only felt a sharp pain in his body, and he almost fainted. Chapter 65. Slow fruit limit fast fruit. Nonsense, it has to be hit, even Van Oka's ass can't be seen, what kind of restrictions are there? After 2 shots were fired, Foxy only felt a sharp pain in his arms, and then he lost consciousness. Not to mention the slow emission of light, he can't even feel his arms now. At this moment, Van Oka's figure appeared, looked at him coldly, and said, "Let's go, my 2 captains, I've been waiting for you for a long time. This is your destiny." 2 shots abolished Foxy's 2 arms, making it impossible to use the fruit ability. This time, it was much more convenient. Van Oka stepped forward and lifted him directly, like dragging a pig to death, and carried him back to his own boat. "You, who are you?" On the ship of the Blackbeard pirates, Foxy was thrown directly to the ground. At this time, he began to feel afraid. Who is it? A thief, ha ha ha, of course it's a pirate. Didn't you take the initiative to find Lousy? Looking at the idiot in front of him, Blackbeard stood up and laughed wildly. 25. I just want to compete with you guys, why do you have to play so hard? If you lose the game, they, and me, are your crew members. Why do you want to kill them if you think you are the boss? After so long in the competition, Foxy has won more than 900 times in a row, but this is the first time he has encountered such a ferocious pirate group. standing in front of you are a bunch of real pirates. What do you think the word pirate stands for? Competition. Playing a house. People like you are also worthy of calling yourself a pirate. Teach, don't talk nonsense. If you want to try it, hurry up, I haven't had enough time to drink. At the wine table at the back, Carlo's disdainful voice came, scoffing at the so-called pirate in front of him. 3. Well said, thief, ha ha ha. Boy, stop struggling, just be a part of Lao Su. 5. Maybe one day, as soon as I am happy, I will let you restore your freedom, thief, ha ha ha. After listening to Carlo's words, Blackbeard couldn't help laughing. Obviously, these words were very much to his taste. Then, regardless of Foxy's constant begging for mercy, he directly opened his blooded mouth and swallowed the other party in an instant. Hiccup. After swallowing Foxy, Blackbeard exaggeratedly hiccuped and did not return to his seat. He just stood there, waiting for his body to change. Others, including Carlo, are also watching at this time, wanting to see what happens to the munch fruit after swallowing the ability. He knew what would happen if he swallowed a normal person, but it was the first time Carlo had witnessed it with his own eyes. The time didn't last long, about the same as Blackbeard's previous digestion, when he swallowed the rain burial. Just a few seconds later, a human face suddenly appeared on his chest. It was the Foxy that Blackbeard had just swallowed, and that face was directly manifested on Blackbeard's chest. At this time, his face was full of horror, and he was constantly struggling. The style is quite weird. Let me go. What the hell is this? It's terrible, please let me go. It's too noisy, shut up, idiot. Listening to the constant screams coming from his chest, Blackbeard expressed his annoyance, and after scolding, he was ready to try to activate the ability of the slow fruit. Thief, haha, you bastard, dare to take the initiative to confront Lao Su. Then don't blame Lousy, let your consciousness completely disappear. After being activated for a long time, Blackbeard could not completely control the ability of the slow fruit, but could only occasionally emit some light effects from the fruit's ability. Obviously, this is Foxy interfering with Blackbeard's powers. At this time, Foxy, under the control of Blackbeard, was completely speechless, and he could only see the terrified expression on his face that was still struggling. For a while, Blackbeard stopped talking, stood on the spot, forcibly suppressed Foxy's consciousness in the body, and the two started a battle of consciousness, both wanting to compete for the control of Foxy and the slow ability. A few minutes have passed, and this anxious battle for consciousness has not stopped. This idiot is actually doing things in Lao Su's body. His master has been slowing down the fruit for too long, and Lao Su can't fully grasp this fruit in a short period of time. What? Even the movements of Lao Su's body are affected. After a while, Blackbeard's exasperated voice came. Obviously the situation was not so optimistic. Blackbeard's consciousness is naturally many times stronger than Foxy's. But, at this juncture of life and death, Foxy tried his best to keep Blackbeard from doing things in his body. For a time, not only was the ability to slow down the fruit, Blackbeard couldn't control it 100%, and even his own body movements were hindered to some extent because of these reasons. No way, under the control of two kinds of consciousness, the two devil fruits are constantly intertwined and entangled in the body. Even if they are stronger than Blackbeard, they will be in trouble. After all, this is his own body, so he can't directly attack himself. Teach, what are you doing? Are you stupid? What about your other ability? Isn't your dark fruit power just right to defeat other abilities? Use dark fruit to forcibly ban this guy. At this moment, Carlo's reminder sound reached Blackbeard's ears at the right time. Yup, I'm so stupid that I forgot about this. Otherwise, it has to be you, man, thief, ha ha ha. Just like the rain comes after a long drought, Carlo's prompt made Blackbeard come back to his senses and be overjoyed. The next moment, Blackbeard directly mobilized the energy of dark fruit in his body, and the endless black fog suddenly erupted, heading towards Foxy, overwhelming the sky and drowning the past. As the beginning of dark fruit approached, Foxy's struggles became much smaller. At this time, he couldn't make a sound, and the fear on that big face was gradually deepening, but his expressions and movements continued to slow down. The next moment, after the black mist completely came, Foxy's consciousness was completely plunged into darkness, and was forcibly banned by the power of dark fruit. At the same time, the expression on the face of Blackbeard's chest also solidified forever, slowly fading, and gradually turned into a grayish-white. Chapter 66. Finally stopped. This idiot can toss me to death. The face of Foxy on his chest had turned gray, and Blackbeard finally let out a breath and sat back on the chair. This wave of tossing is really exhausting for him. After all, the inside of the body is not like the outside world. If it is not handled well, even Blackbeard will have to eat and walk around. Try it. Can you use the ability of the slow fruit without hindrance? Carlo put down the bottle in his hand, looked at Blackbeard beside him, and gestured to him. Good. Hearing this, Blackbeard got up again, looked for a random direction, and tried with the same gesture as Foxy before. Quote, I saw between the 3 fingers that Blackbeard held, a pink circle of light waves, like a signal, continued to radiate into the distance. The moving objects or life encountered in the middle, like flying insects, will stop in place in an instant. Of course, it didn't stop completely, just because their speed was too slow. After being irradiated by the dull light wave, it was almost the same as motionless, and it was difficult to see the difference. A success. Easy. Thief, ha ha ha. It's done, it's really done. Now Lao Tzu's ability to use the slow fruit can hardly feel any resistance. This munch fruit fits perfectly with Lao Tzu. Thief, ha ha ha. Cool, so cool. Blackbeard's face was full of surprise, and the exhaustion that he had just banned Foxy, all disappeared at the moment when the slow fruit was used without obstacles. With results like this, it's worth the effort. Come, brethren, then the banquet, then the drink. Why is this idiot here to disturb us? He is obviously here to give a gift. Thief, ha ha ha. After trying the fruit ability, Blackbeard returned to the right side of Carlo and sat down, excitedly raising a glass with everyone. Kudong, kudong. Ha ha ha, Captain, it seems that the vice-captain insisted that you come to munch fruit, you really came to the right. With such a devil fruit here, wouldn't we be invincible in the future? After drinking a large bottle of wine, Burgess raised his voice and looked at Blackbeard and Carlo with incomparable excitement. Obviously, he was very much looking forward to the invincible road they imagined in the future. Really. Hearing this, Lafitte, who was on the side, rarely did not fight against this guy, but nodded and said, if you just swallow it like this, your growth ability, Captain, is unlimited. As long as you are given enough time, let alone the 4 emperors, it is not impossible that the One Piece will be above the world government in the future. That's right. Cough. Infinite devouring is too scary. Wouldn't it be possible to gather the power of the whole world together? At this time, the coughing sound of Poison Q came, and he was shocked by the devouring of Blackbeard's fruit. As for the others, they were all pretty much the same, even the female warriors of Nine Snake Island, their heads were a little dazed. No one could have imagined that such a terrifying heaven-defying ability would exist in the world. It would simply break the original devil fruit system. In the scene, the only person who could remain calm at this time was Carlo, the initiator. Different from the blind optimism of everyone, Carlo doesn't think so at all. Munch fruit is indeed heaven-defying, but it is absolutely impossible. It can devour the powers endlessly. There must be a limit, and even this limit will not be too high. Although even he doesn't know where the so-called limit is, he can be sure that the absolute devouring precipice does not exist. Obviously, Blackbeard just swallowed a Foxy and suppressed his consciousness so hard, and in the end he was forced to do it by the ability of dark fruit. And devour countless capable people. How is it possible? And munch fruit is not the first time it has appeared in the world. If it can really be swallowed infinitely, and there is a way to infinitely suppress the consciousness of those with ability, then the world would have been subverted long ago. Is it still the celestial dragon's turn to rule the world? Thief, haha, brothers, you think too well. Where is the infinite devotion? How is it possible? Just when everyone in the Blackbeard Pirates was extremely excited and talked a lot, and felt more and more that their team had a future and hope, Blackbeard's cold water came. Although that idiot's consciousness was blocked by Lao Tzu with the power of darkness, it does not mean that his consciousness is completely under my control. Dark fruit, it's not a panacea. A bit of pity and helplessness appeared on Blackbeard's face, and he explained to everyone, up to now, I can still vaguely feel that the consciousness of that idiot is struggling all the time. Although it's not as big as the previous reaction, it has some influence on Lao Tzu. I feel that, judging from the level of tossing that idiot Foxy is now, at most, I can swallow 2 capable ones. 3 in total, this is the limit of Lao Su. Otherwise, thief haha, you will fall into the situation just now, where you can't control your body, and it may even get worse. Really. Hearing this, there was no surprise on Carlo's face, which was not much different from what he thought before. Even, it was a little less than the limit he had expected before. Originally, Carlo was still thinking, how could this thing be able to withstand 4 or 5? Unexpectedly, 3 will end. However, this can't be helped. Why doesn't Blackbeard want to devour it infinitely? If it can really do it, this guy will be the first to be excited. But this kind of thing is impossible to think about. Li Laojiao, so it's like this. I'll just say that it would be too dreamy to devour it indefinitely, and it would be unrealistic to think about it. However, even so, it's terrifying. Yeah, those who devour 3 abilities are 3 abilities, plus the 2 you have, Captain, the 5 abilities combined into 1, are also terrifying and scary. Everyone, your words and my words, although it did not meet the expectations in your heart, but the 5 abilities are integrated in one person, who dares to say that it is not terrible. Just that Blackbeard had the ability to have 2 fruits before, was enough to scare people all over the world, including most of the strong. What's more, when the 5 abilities are displayed together, I am afraid that others will be so tired just listening to them, and they are still playing. Too perverted, no fight, isn't this pure bullying? The full-level boss comes to the novice village card bug, but it's just like that. Chapter 67. Thief ha ha ha. Yes, the 5 devil fruit abilities are already a blessing to Carlo. I am very satisfied. There are 2 kinds of things that can be swallowed now. Brothers, let's talk about it. Give Lao Su some advice. What kind of ability should I look for next? Although somewhat regretful about the restrictions of munch fruit, Blackbeard is not a person who is greedy enough. Originally, there is a high probability that he can only possess 2 abilities in this life, which are his biggest cards. But now, his first officer has given him the opportunity to have 5 abilities, so what's not to be satisfied with? Blackbeard himself thinks he's perverted enough. Ha 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 ha, of course it's zone devil fruit, like me, how strong. Hearing this, Burgess laughed exaggeratedly a few times, and then showed off his muscles again, looking like he was intoxicated, so that several people around couldn't help but roll their eyes. Hee, do you think the captain is just like you, a savage who only knows how to use brute force? If I say, Captain, you should find a powerful Logia devil fruit. Unlike the real Logia, dark fruit does not have the characteristics and power of the real Logia. The 3 major power kanbans in Marine today are all powerful Logia. If you have such an ability, Captain, on this one, you can be tied with the monsters of the Admiral 4 Emperors. At this moment, Lafayette stood up, paced in place with a cane, and after saying something to Burgess, he analyzed it seriously. This guy's brain has always been good, and his analysis is eloquent. Even the poisonous Q and Van Oka on the side couldn't help nodding his head to show his approval. A thief ha ha ha, are you attacking Admiral? Could it be too early? Those guys are all very difficult to deal with, and most of the time, they can't be seen at all. Where can I find them? And don't forget, we can't break up with the world government and Marine until my plan with Bro Carlo begins. For Lafitte's proposal, Blackbeard was of course impressed, and it would be a lie to say that he was not. Logia devil fruit. There are few weak ones, most of them are outrageously strong, and it is also the rarest of the 3 devil fruit types. Why doesn't he want to have it? But right now, it is impossible to attack Marine Admiral, and it is more important to plan the Ace and Whitebeard pirates. And, even if you can do it, Marine Admiral is not so easy to take down. However, if you don't start with Admiral, where will you find such a powerful Logia-capable person? No clue. Ace's Mara fruit. Dogs don't eat. What the captain said was that I was negligent. Hearing this, Lafitte's face also showed a bit of embarrassment. For a time, the banquet fell into a brief silence, and everyone lost their minds. At times like this, of course, it's best for the deputy captain to decide. At this moment, Van Oka, who has always been taciturn, opened his mouth and looked at Carlo with a rare admiration in his eyes. Ever since I knew before the fight that their deputy captain had realized the special knowledge and information, Van Oka, the only one in front of him, could no longer maintain such a cold attitude. Even in the face of Captain Blackbeard, he has never changed. This may be the admiration and recognition from the professional field. That's right, Vice Captain, come up with an idea, you are the brain of our pirate group. Van Oka's words awakened everyone present, and all looked at Carlo with awe and admiration in their eyes. Thief, ha ha ha, yes, bro, why don't you talk, help me think about it, what kind of ability should I get next? Not talking. Speaking of I didn't see Lao Su flirting with beautiful women here. Originally, I was still thinking, how can the Empress serve him well today? A bunch of big guys don't have brains and pull me up for everything. Carlo expresses that he is very upset. After turning his head and glaring at a few people, Carlo didn't care, after all, he still had to do business. Who made him the strongest brain of the team? Teach, if I had to say it, Lafayette was right. Question mark, question mark, question mark. When Carlo spoke the first sentence, he completely stunned everyone present, including Lafitte, CFAA. Could it be that this vice captain really intends to attack Admiral? Seemingly seeing everyone's doubts, Carlo waved his hand and said, I mean, as you said just now, if you want to swallow it, then you must swallow the best devil fruit. Otherwise, how can it be worthy of the ambitions of our Blackbeard pirates? Thief, ha ha ha, you're right, man, in your opinion, who should I look for next? Seeing that Carlo was about to come up with a plan, Blackbeard suddenly got excited, his big face full of anticipation, waiting for this dog-headed military sergeant to come up with some tricks for him. Logia devil fruit, really a good choice. But what Lafitte just said, Marine 3 Admiral's fruit ability, that is, Sakazuki's can be regarded as the top, the other two, let's forget. I helped you think of a truly top Logia devil fruit. No worse than Sakazuki's magma, definitely the strongest in Logia. Logia thunder fruit. It has a limit speed that is second only to that of the glitter fruit, and its power equal to that of lava fruit, and more importantly, it won't fight against marine in advance and affect our future plans. If you don't make up your mind, if you want to come out, just throw a king bomb. This has always been Carlo's behavior. Thunder fruit, worthy of this king fried. If it weren't for the god-level props of repairing fists, Carlo would definitely win against shock fruit, and Carlo would definitely choose to become a thunder fruit person. After all, thunder fruit is fully functional in speed, attack, and support. Of course, there is a system plugin, and Carlo is obviously more interested in shock fruit. He doesn't lack speed, he doesn't lack insight, and he doesn't lack defense. What he lacks is ultimate's attack. And shock fruit, obviously more in line with his goals. That is the fruit that can shatter the void. Therefore, thunder fruit can only stand aside. But Enel can't be allowed to be wasted, so it's better to give Blackbeard a wave of reinforcements. After all, the stronger Blackbeard is, the smoother the plan behind their group will be. Well, teach, thunder fruit, make him your next target to devour. Looking at the stunned crowd, Carlo smiled, raised the wine bottle to himself, and drank. Thunder fruit, I heard. Ha ha ha, it is indeed the top Logia devil fruit, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is even more powerful than lava fruit. However, thunder fruit is impossible to find. They have been missing for hundreds of years, and they have always existed only in legends. Blackbeard's breathing grew heavier as he said these words. He knew that Carlo couldn't aim for nothing, and since thunder fruit was proposed, it meant that he already had a clue. At this point, Blackbeard desperately wants to confirm. Seeing this, Carlo's mouth twitched, but he didn't give a shit, and said leisurely, don't worry, don't look at me like that. I know where it is, it's a small matter. Chapter 68. Really, FK, I really know. Cowhide. I know, bro, you won't bring this up for no reason, thief, ha ha ha. Hearing Carlo's personal confirmation, Blackbeard's thief-eyed boss had an extremely exaggerated expression, and his blood immediately boiled. That's thunder fruit, the strongest and most mysterious one of the known Logias. It has disappeared for hundreds of years. Let's put it this way, in the whole sea, anyone who knows the existence of this fruit will not be moved, even if they are already demon fruit power. Of course, Blackbeard is no exception. He had seen this fruit when he was studying the devil fruit illustration. It's just because it's too mysterious, and it hasn't been revealed for many years, let alone someone with this ability. As a result, many people would rather believe that this is just an ability that exists in legends and people's imaginations, and cannot exist in the world at all. Therefore, Blackbeard never paid attention to this ability. It's not that I don't want to, it's that there is no way at all. And now, their co-captain said, it's a trivial matter to know where it is. How can it not be exciting? At this moment, around the banquet table, except for Carlo, everyone was short of breath, looked like they couldn't believe it, trembled all over, and couldn't even speak. Others behaved worse than the client Blackbeard. Even the Empress, her expression was sluggish at this time, staring at Carlo in a daze, her mind full of confusion. The legendary fruit can even be found by Mr. Carlo. As expected of the man whom the concubine took a fancy to, too strong. Small things, don't look at me like that. A pair of eyes glanced around without a trace, taking in all the wonderful expressions of everyone. At this time, Carlo just spit out these few words. Then he leaned back on the seat, holding the wine bottle, looking like he didn't care, and then said lightly, "Sims teach, your limit is to swallow 3 devil fruits. Then in addition to the established thunder fruit, the last one, let's swallow a momo fruit. The momo fruit with infinite multiplier power is the most suitable pairing with thunder fruit. It can amplify your destructive power to the strongest. Even if the destructive power exceeds the standard and overflows, it may not be impossible to achieve." At this time, Carlo's performance was quite pretentious, and he said the most astonishing words with the most indifferent expression. Before everyone could recover from the news of thunder fruit, another blockbuster was dropped by Carlo so casually. In just a few words, the growth line after Blackbeard was arranged in place, and the arrangement was the most invincible one, and he didn't need to use his own brain at all. The ultimate is the father, but that's it, right? It's like smashing Blackbeard's mouth open. The vice captain is talking about the momo fruit of Bon D. Valdo, who was offered a reward of 500 million. Is it? Are we going to attack someone of this level? Hehe, what level? I even think it's a good thing that the deputy captain didn't directly attack the emperors of the New World, or Marine's admiral. Can all objects and power be amplified several times or even 100 times? Use it to match the most powerful thunder fruit. Hiss. The crew members present unconsciously fantasized in the direction Carlo said, and when they thought of this, they couldn't help but start gasping for air. They can't even imagine how explosive the combination will be when put together. It was a terrible combination that had never appeared before. Lafayette and others felt that their brains were not enough to keep up with Carlo's outrageous fantasies. It is different from the previous thunder fruit that has hardly appeared, and only exists in people's imaginations and is extremely illusory. Momo fruit, everyone present is basically familiar with it. No, it should be said that as a pirate, there are very few who do not know its horror. That is the ability of Berndi Valdo, who has a bounty of 500 million and is known as the King of Destruction in the world. As one of the old pirates who were once famous in the sea, Berndi Waldo made his debut and dominated a large area of the sea with this ability. It even used it to create 100 times more giant shells, trying to directly collapse Marineford, which almost triggered a series of major incidents. However, it should be said or not, the usage and development of this product are still too simple, and it has such an awesome ability, all of which are devoted to the research of artillery shells. Spendthrift almost wasted the true power of this fruit. Whenever he thinks of this, Carlo can't help but complain. Look at Lao Tzu's collocation, ringing regal momo, this is the ultimate usage. As expected of Lao Tzu's mate, this brain is simply invincible. The people over there are still unable to extricate themselves from the comparison, and Blackbeard, who is sitting in the first place, is completely crazy. Not only planned to arrange thunder fruit for him, but even made the ultimate match, momo fruit. How could this not get him excited? He almost screamed. After all, this is the perfect match made for him by Carlo, and his Blackbeard is the real beneficiary in the end. However, at this moment, Blackbeard also reacted. The arrangement of his deputy did not seem to be random at all, and the logic and order seemed to be in place. And what they will do in the future seems to fit together. For flowers that momo fruit power man, Berndi Waldo, had long been imprisoned by Marine in Impel Down, the great underwater prison, and Marine had specially issued a notice back then. And their later plans also have to start with planning Impel Down. No, it's totally easy. Grass, it's obviously a very simple truth, but I just can't think of it for Mao Lousy. Is there really IQ crushing? No, I used to be very smart. After figuring out the logic and sequence of Carlo's plan, Blackbeard immediately fell into a wave of self-doubt. Ha ha ha, Thor. King of Destruction. Boss, what the deputy captain has arranged for you is too invincible, no way, I'm going to orgasm. At this moment, the excited foul language from Burgess pulled Blackbeard out, who was still immersed in self-doubt. Point 0. Yeah, the combination of Xiangale and Momo, it's not an exaggeration to say that it is the god of thunder and the king of destruction. This invincible destiny has no end in sight. It's too scary. Needless to say, Burgess is a very excited body, Rao is the cold person, Van Oka. After digesting this information, he stopped in Bangbu. He kept repeating the word, terrible. His beloved Chinlu disappeared at this time, and he didn't know where he was thrown by this thing. Cough, 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 cough. At this moment, a violent coughing sound came, and everyone looked back and found that Poison Q had recovered from the previous shock. He wanted to say something, but under the strong excitement, the old problem of this guy was made again, and the endless coughing made him unable to say a word. Forget it, bro, I'll just sigh for you, don't cough. On this happy day, our pirate group should not die. Seeing that the old man was about to cough, Lafitte on the side hurriedly stopped him, for fear that the big brother would be careless for him. Thief ha ha ha, who said it wasn't, thanks to the gift of Carlo, the god of thunder and the king of destruction in this world, I will be the one. Come, drink with Lao Su. Looking at the state of the crew, Blackbeard was so excited that he couldn't take care of himself. He lifted the bottle and spun it 3 times in a row. He couldn't calm down at all. Obviously, all the people present, one counts the other, were all overwhelmed and fell into the excitement of ultimate. Under the successive stimulation of the plan proposed by Carlo, everyone was convinced by his invincible brain circuit. In the current state, it is not an exaggeration to say that they are collectively climaxing. A group of little spicy chickens, just for this. Can't hold back. What is the ultimate plan? Where is this going? This is just the first step of Lao Su's plan. Chapter 69. The big ship of the Blackbeard pirates was lively at this time, and the excited shouts from above could be heard from far away. Deputy Captain Cowhide, Deputy Captain Invincible, and other fanatical words continued to spread from this ship. However, just when everyone was overjoyed and they were fighting to cool down, Carlo's 2 short sentences caused the whole ship to fall into a dead silence again. The sky-shaking movement, the sound of the bottle hitting, and the fanatical pursuit, all stopped at this moment, as if someone had pressed the pause button. Everyone turned their heads mechanically, staring at Carlo dumbfounded, unable to say a word. Even the Empress beside Carlo, looking up at him at this time, was full of dazed and unknown eyes. The appearance of an ignorant little girl was so cute that Carlo almost couldn't bear to 530 and wanted to reach out and pinch this little daughter-in-law's face. Just now, although the Empress was also shocked by Carlo's plan, she is still a girl after all, and it is impossible to climax like those big men. But now, when I heard Carlo's calm and even disdainful words, I was instantly dumbfounded. Damn, what do you mean by this? Brother, do you want to hear what you are saying? As far as your collocation and plan just now, let out the wind, the whole world will be stupid. Of course, the focus of everyone's attention is the second half of what Carlo said. Such a terrifying plan, not only is it not final, it is just the beginning. This is what makes everyone dumbfounded. They can't imagine that if such a heaven-defying operation is just the beginning, how high can it go? This is completely beyond what they can conceive of. No, no way, man. Could it be? Is there a more terrifying combination? At this moment, Blackbeard regained his senses briefly, and asked the doubts in the hearts of everyone present in disbelief. Hey, a group of people who haven't seen the world, they're fine, even you, Teach. Looking at the confused state of the crowd, Carlo pouted and ranted unceremoniously. The 2 fruits, Xiangale and Momo, will of course not be replaced. Their combination is already strong enough, and there is no need to do anything more. But Foxy's spicy chicken fruit is just a substitute, just use it temporarily. Teach, you will lose this thing sooner or later, it's too stretchy. The one that suits you best should be Zone, and you demons. But it didn't appeal to everyone. Carlo spoke directly and told everyone about his plans. Ha ha ha, as I said at the beginning, it has to be the fruit of our zone, the most invincible phantom beasts. Hearing that, Burgess seized the opportunity and showed off, ridiculed and snarled to the surrounding people. But the result is no surprise. No one pays any attention to him at all. Everyone is crazy brainstorming, trying to keep up with Carlo's brain circuit. You demons, so rare, even rarer than Logia. 9. Could it be the captain of the Whitebeard pirates, Marcos' ability? It's definitely not that simple. What the deputy captain planned is absolutely the top ability, that Phoenix, not even that. The top. Could it be Martial Marine, Sengoku's? It's the ability of the four emperors, Kaido of the beasts. Everyone, including Blackbeard, guessed everything you said, but the more you guessed, the more shocking people felt. Almost all of those with the abilities of the phantom beasts have strong strength or top-notch backgrounds. Their vice captain's plan is too big, so they want to attack such a character. No, neither. At this moment, Carlo slowly shook his head, denying everyone's guess. Then, he turned his head to look at Blackbeard and said, "If you eat that fruit, Teach, then you will truly have the ability to overthrow the world government. At that time, the world government will not dare to say that it will stand against you, and even they will fall into fear." 99. What the FK? A devil fruit, a kind of ability, can have such terrible power. Scare the world government. Can you overthrow this behemoth? How is this possible? I have never heard of any kind of ability that has such a terrifying effect. Even the ringing regal Momo that the deputy captain said before, can't do it. It's just to make Marine and the government fearful. Fear and fear, or even overthrow, these are two different things. Listening to Carlo's madman words, everyone was stunned, unable to say a word, just stared at Carlo in a daze, waiting for his next sentence. Blackbeard, even more so. Currently, Teach, your limit is that you can swallow 3 capable people. Looking at the wonderful expressions on everyone's faces, Carlo smiled and said, "If I say, that fruit can be swallowed by you, what about the 7 capable ones?" Boom. Carlo's words, like a nuclear bomb, exploded in everyone's mind, causing everyone's scalp to go numb. "Hey, how is this possible?" "Years." Lafitte and the others shouted out immediately, with the words, "Can't believe it," written all over their faces. Swallowing 3 has already changed. The state can no longer be tolerated by the world, and swallowing 7. So why is it not directly invincible? Thief. Ha, yes, impossible, absolutely impossible. Brother Carlo, I believe you in other things, but this kind of thing will never happen, it's outrageous. It's not that I want to question, Carlo man, it's really outrageous. Rao was the party involved, Blackbeard, who was so shocked that he couldn't laugh, and kept shaking his head, asserting that this was impossible. No wonder 0.0 him, there will be such a reaction. To know that Blackbeard can hold 5 devil fruits in one suit at this time, it is all a matter of great luck. I don't know how many coincidences have brought him to where he is today. Dark fruit and munch fruit complement each other, one devours and the other suppresses, whichever one of them lacks, Blackbeard can only be a dual fruit person. And now, relying on the cooperation of these 2 fruits, he has the limit that he can swallow 3 more. 7 more. Are you sure you're not talking nonsense? The reaction of the crowd was as expected by Carlo, and he did not respond or argue, and said to himself, "Teach, aren't you familiar with the devil fruit illustration book? Then, you should know, devil fruit in the form of Orochi." Chapter 70. Mother F. Kerr. As soon as the words, Orchid Orochi, came out, Blackbeard immediately realized something. A pair of pupils shrank rapidly, staring at Carlo in shock. Why didn't I think of it? Zone, phantom, snake fruit, Orochi form, this is the devil fruit. 99. Right now, the one who was shocked was Blackbeard, while the others were full of question marks. After all, they don't know what the meaning of this fruit represents. However, looking at the captain's reaction, it's right to know that it's very good. Ignoring the reactions of the crowd and Blackbeard, Carlo continued to talk about his understanding and usage of this devil fruit. As the name suggests, this fruit can transform the capable person into the shape of the Orochi. In beast form, There are a total of 8 heads, except that the main head belongs to the consciousness of the capable person, the remaining 7 heads have their own independent consciousness. If, teach, you eat this fruit, and then use the 25 pieces of ton fruit to inject the consciousness of the other abilities you swallowed into the other 7 snake heads. And then use the dark fruit to suppress most of their consciousness, leaving them in a state of ignorance, leaving only the consciousness responsible for manipulating the fruit's ability. At that time, even if they are suppressed by dark fruit, they will still be noisy. It will be noisy in the independent sub-snake head and will not affect your main consciousness. In this way, will you be able to acquire the abilities of the 7 ability ones? Question mark. Can it still work like this? Listening to Carlo's explanation of this coquettish routine, Blackbeard couldn't help taking a deep breath. Unexpectedly, a devil fruit can still be manipulated like this. In Carlo's hands, it can be played with flowers. However, it seems, it's okay to ride a horse. No, crazy, I'm going crazy. After listening to Carlo's remarks, Blackbeard immediately looked unconscious. Eyes staring like copper bells, a pair of dead fish eyes, full of fanaticism and unparalleled excitement. There is no way, if it is really according to what his deputy captain said, the 8-headed snake has independent consciousness, and then swallowing 7 capable ones, it is completely possible. After all, Blackbeard's so-called endurance limit is not a physical limit, but a conscious one. 8 snake heads share a body. The body is not afraid of any influence, as long as it can suppress the consciousness of these capable people. Right now, Blackbeard can suppress 3 at the limit by himself and dark fruit, but what if there are 7 more snakeheads out of thin air as a small black house? Without giving you a chance to toss, you are directly locked in the small dark room of the vice snake head. So what else can they turn over? You must know that the main snake head of Orochi has a natural restraint effect on the sub-snake head in consciousness. This is for sure, it is the basic attribute of this devil fruit. Otherwise, the capable person cannot control his other 7 snake heads, which is not a big joke in the world. The primary and secondary characteristics of the main and auxiliary snake heads of the Orochi fruit, combined with the ban and suppression of dark fruit, the combination of the two seems to be completely feasible in theory. And as long as the problem of suppressing consciousness is solved, it will be very simple to use their abilities, just as he is using Foxy's ability to slow down right now. Simple batch. No way, how could this be? My god, co-captain, how did you come up with such a crazy idea? Terrible, scary rhythm. If this goes on, the hearts of the little ones can't stand it. Lafitte's reaction was half a beat slower than Blackbeard's, but it was almost an instant, and he was able to understand what Carlo meant. Coupled with Blackbeard's crazy appearance, it has been proved that this method is feasible. In other words, with the Orochi fruit, Blackbeard can swallow 8 capable ones. For a while, they all went crazy. They were clutching their hearts, as if they didn't hold on, the contents inside would jump out immediately. Horrible, terrifying. As you said, the captain will become stronger like a monster in the future. No, it's more terrifying than a monster. Everyone, including the female warriors of the 9 snakes, was shocked at this moment, as if struck by lightning, and their bodies were stiff. They know what it means, but they don't know what it means. It's very contradictory, but this is the psychology of everyone right now, and everyone can't imagine what kind of big terror the world will usher in if this day comes. And what kind of history they will witness. Dark fruit plus munch fruit, swallow another Orochi fruit, and then through Orochi fruit, swallow 7 abilities, adding up, doesn't one person possess 10 kinds of devil fruit abilities? It's not surprising to lie in a big groove, let alone subvert the world government, and directly scare them. Monster. A thief, ha ha ha, don't say that, I can't afford it. At this moment, Blackbeard recovered a little bit of sanity. Although he still looked like a madman, it was fortunate that he didn't look like he had been dug out of his brain just now. The real monster should be this guy. Brother Carlo, your brain was born to turn the world upside down. When Blackbeard looked at Carlo, was full of admiration, and even brought some horror. Terrible. In comparison, he's a fart ambitious, and compared to Carlo's ambition, he's far worse. That is, he got dark fruit 1 step earlier. If dark fruit was acquired by the mate in front of him at first, Blackbeard would have no doubt that this product would make the whole sea and the whole world crawl under his feet in the shortest possible time. After all, he, the real owner of dark fruit, looks like the one who picked it up. That's right, the vice captain's brain was born to subvert the world, absolutely. This kind of crazy idea, let alone the past, is the future. I dare to conclude that no one can have it. It's so outrageous to feel that this kind of idea should not appear in this world. It's so dreamy. The mask on Lafitte's face had long since been torn off. Looking at Carlo at this time, his face was full of mad adoration. And the Empress was covering her mouth even more, her delicate body trembling non-stop. Looking at Carlo, her eyes had completely turned into two hearts. The man in front of him is so terrifying, dangerous, powerful, and charming. In this person, the Empress found that she was at a loss for words. She used all the adjectives, and it seemed that they were not enough. As expected of a concubine man, too perfect. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.